And get in touch with them on Instagram. Our phone line is brought to you by Metropolitan Health Group. Real doctors, real solutions. Charles Harvey, Jason Ramazan, and the crew. We're going to talk to Glenn West coming up here at 8 a.m. Big G will stop by, and we'll catch up with everything with Glenn, including the LSU baseball weekend for the Tigers fall for the first time this season. They drop 2 of 3 on the weekend. Auburn takes care of the Tigers yesterday as LSU just could never get going. 12-2, they're run ruled for the first time all year. They called the thing in the 8th. LSU will now travel back to Baton Rouge as they will, is this Mississippi State?
It is Mississippi State. I'll be there, actually.
Okay.
I got some invites for a suite for this game. And this whole season leading up to it, I was like, well, this is just going to be kind of embarrassing. Like, I'm going to go and sit there. And
are you talking yourself into a win right now?
I mean, one. Yeah.
Y'all had a pretty nice blooper reel pop up this weekend.
Jordy sent it to me. I was like, I don't know.
Looked like the tryouts for the Cleveland Indians on Major League. This guy here is dead. Scratch him off.
He was like, what's
they're
happening?
tripping
like,
over each other. The balls in. I'm not trying to poke fun either. I know that.
We're
but I know that this whole thing is cyclical. at some point LSU's going to be on the other side.
Yeah, Mississippi
men's
State
basketball
won
right
a title,
now.
2 years ago.
But that's the most concerning.
But Ole Miss won it last year, and they're worse than us. So, what's happening? Like, I don't know. I have no explanation.
Look, I believe in championship hangovers. I think they're real.
Clearly.
For 2 years.
Clearly.
Jeez.
I know, right?
Y'all are on a bender.
I know. It's wild.
But LSU.
Interesting.
Mississippi State will be in town this weekend. Northwestern in town for a midweek game.
We won't win the Friday game, but
that's what I was saying. If you
would
have
sacrificed the Friday.
But maybe Saturday or Sunday. We'll see.
Oh, you definitely have a chance. Anybody that plays LSU on Saturday or Sunday has a chance.
Well, that's what I meant.
Yeah, at this point.
But you looked at me kind of like condescendingly, like, oh.
I thought you were talking about Friday.
No, why?
And
well, I think everybody's forforfeiting Friday.
Yes.
Yeah, I would never discuss Friday.
I just didn't know if that's the game that you were going to.
No, that is not.
Okay, I would not pick that one. Yeah, you have a great chance Saturday.
If you've not seen Skeens in person.
Right. I haven't been to a game yet in person.
I would definitely go to Friday night just to check him out.
Oh, yeah, maybe so.
Definitely coming off of his career high, 15 strikeouts. My dude was dealing on Friday night, man. As good as he's been all season long, and he's the potential number 1 overall pick in the draft and maybe the best player in the sport. If he's not, Dylan Cruz is 1 and 1A. But Friday night was a treat for those who were in attendance at Auburn. You got to see a major league ace in college, maybe with his best outing of the regular season.
Best outing of his career.
Best outing of his career, for sure. I know that we speak in just kind of this 1-year window of Skeens, and that's all we'll see of him, but I guess this is the mountaintop of his career.
And the sad thing, not the sad thing is, but you needed it. You needed all 15 of them, and you needed him to go that, because LSU only won 2-0, or 3-0, excuse me.
Yeah.
Trey Morgan hit a 2-run homer in the first, and then they got a late insurance run. But you needed it because that game wasn't – you had to watch that until the end. And if you'd have told me Skeens was going to go 7 1/3 with 15 punchies, I'd have been like, that's probably, 8-0, 10-0. Except LSU, except it wasn't.
Well,
Auburn kept him at bay.
That's when you were like, man, Auburn's for real.
Yeah, and the game was flipped. They're not supposed to have any pitching at all, and their offense is supposed to be good. And then the whole series was kind of flipped after that.
It was. And then Auburn came back from a 4-3 LSU lead on Saturday as they had a 4-run 6th inning.
That was a debacle.
It was, man. That was a melt that
the
LSU has rarely seen happen. And they got some issues with Ty Floyd right now. They got some issues with their third starter yesterday. Christian Little was just a dreadful performance, one that he'll want to try and forget about pretty quickly as LSU's got to get back to the drawing board here and find what they're going to do. Gavin Dugas was the only bright spot on Sunday as he led off the game with his 12th home run of the season, but then after that it was all Auburn. Auburn just teed off on LSU's pitching to, as we said, for the first time all year, get run ruled and lose 12-2. I got to say this. I'm not mad at it happening at this point of the year because you could feel that it was coming over the last couple of weeks, right? I mean, this was going to be tough to sustain and tough to really be a storyline. At the end of the day, winning every weekend series, while it does help your RBI, it helps your seeding, it helps everything out. LSU's done a lot of work, done a lot of in the eyes of the voters to solidify who they are. I think they have a ton of respect when it comes to the voting aspect. When it comes to winning every weekend series and being ranked number 1 in the country for 12 straight weeks
Right.
and
They
all
don't
of that
look at
stuff, like that stuff really at the end of the day doesn't mean anything. It means something if you get to the ultimate mountaintop and you can look back and say, this was a team that was
Number
12
one,
straight
yeah.
weeks and they won every weekend. That's cool. You know, I mean, I guess that's some cherries on top. If you can do ultimately, you got to get there and you got to figure out who you are. And you got to find out who is going to be the dudes on this team that can get you there. And a back of the season weekend loss is not the worst thing that could happen to LSU baseball. I think, first off, you can clear all that stuff. Forget about being number 1 in the country for 12 straight weeks and winning every weekend series and all of that goes into, I'm sure, a little bit of the pressure of the game. Right, for baseball players. I mean, they're wired a little differently in the way that they approach every day at the park. But, all of that stuff kind of off the table, and LSU really trying to find and cover up some of these deficiencies. I mean, their pitching is an issue, outside of Skeens.
Outside of Skeens you don't know. Ackenhausen looked okay, and then the real surprise actually has been Thatcher Hurd at the back end coming in and being the closer. He has two straight appearances where he's been in that role, and he's been locked down both times. So that's good. It's good to see, I guess. But then you also, because of how poorly the pitching's been on Saturday and Sunday, it makes you think, well, hell, should Thatcher come out and start now? Because you're still trying to plug all these pieces, and obviously LSU's had to balance out a bunch of injuries. You talked about being number 1. There's our target on their back every single time they go to the park. So if there's ever a chance to kind of shake back, get right, and you can kind of flush what the season has been, I think it's this. Because you almost don't want to go into Omaha or into a regional, super regional with, is this the greatest team of all time? They've been ranked number 1 all year. They've, taken 2 of 3 every series. At some point, you want to be able to have to bounce back and not have everything be on the line.
Yeah,
you don't want to go into a regional, lose the first game. It's like, shit, we've never been here.
I agree.
So now you get that feeling of, all right, boys, this sucks. You don't want to feel like this. And you just move on from there. But they do have some serious concerns with the bullpen and, I guess, Saturday and Sunday pitching, really.
Well, and look, I think for the majority of the time, it's been better than it's been worse, right?
Yeah.
I think that it's gone through some patches where you're like,
it's just so glaring when it's bad.
It is very, very clear when it's bad, and I think that it's very winnable when it's good. I don't think that it'll be excellent. It's not going to be great. It's not going to be a shut you down type guy. I don't know if they have a guy outside of Skeens that can work past 5 and be dominant, right?
No, I mean the most impressive thing we saw this weekend, aside from Skeens, obviously, is I would say Ty Floyd until that 4th inning or 5th inning. He had 7 straight strikeouts. Yeah. He was dealing,
right?
And then you get
he gets
a 3-1 count, and it gets squeezed a little bit, and he looks at the umpire, and then the umpire throws somebody out from LSU's side after a ball.
Jordan, the coach, out.
Yeah, but he didn't know which one, and he was still in the dugout, and it was just this whole thing. It took 15 minutes, and Ty Floyd hadn't pitched.
Right.
And so he's just up there. It just totally threw the entire rhythm of the game off, and it essentially made him have to restart pitching, and he walks 4 straight or something like that, and that's how you lose the game. Essentially, you can point back to 1 inning.
No doubt.
But before that, Ty Floyd was throwing his best outing of the year. And if you get that Ty Floyd, there's not as many problems. The 3rd day, Christian Little just kind of picked up where Ty Floyd started in the 4th, where it was like, we're just going to walk the first 3 people we face. You have to at least compete. You can't just put people on base for free. And so that's where you have to figure it out if you're going to have somebody like Christian Little that walks the first batter. Do you just yank him then? Or, and you start going Johnny Holstaff? It's a little bit back to what it looked like last year with the pitching, and it's unfortunate. You thought you got some of that fixed, But then the injuries happen, and that's baseball.
I mean, I think the melt is a little overrated here. Though,
Oh, for sure.
honestly.
Oh,
I mean,
it
come
always
on.
is.
Yeah,
like,
this
even
is-
with
It
those
always
games
is.
Saturday and Sunday, like LSU is still better than any other team in the country.
Yeah, they-
I still think they are. I watched a little bit of Wake Forest this weekend,
Actually, people think would be number one.
who's number 2, and I think that Wake Forest will probably slide up and be number 1.
You do.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of exhaustion on LSU
Yeah.
being number 1. I think that they flirted with this happening the past couple of weeks, so there's probably some built-in, people trying to find an excuse to bump them out of that spot. Now they've
Yeah.
got a clear way to get them out of there.
Yeah.
And I don't hate it. I
Right.
like to restore a little bit of hunger, motivation, and look, you
We need
want
that.
to lose in May.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to lose in June, right? I mean, like this is when if this is gonna happen, and you've got to kind of reset. And LSU's got to. It's not. They got some issues. I mean, they have some things that they can overcome, but they have some things at this point of the year
not
they need to
perfect.
figure out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not perfect.
Right, and
Like,
they need some
compared to
people-
a lot of other teams.
They need some people to step up. I thought Jamin Coleman again on Saturday with another SEC outing. I think at some point along this championship run, if they ultimately get there, he's going to be counted on in a really big spot. Southern Eye Center poll question of the first hour: will LSU baseball still be the number 1 team in the country? Log on and cast your vote. Remember, we're on YouTube. Hit us on YouTube if you don't mind with a like and share. Comment if you don't mind. Hopefully everybody had a great weekend out there. How was everybody's weekend? Carpool Queen, everything good?
It was fine. I was
Yeah?
a little under the weather most of the
Okay.
weekend, but
All right. Well,
other than that,
this was a good weekend for it.
it was a good weekend for it. It was disgusting.
It was
Except
nasty
Friday,
outside.
I did make it through the track meet, state champions, Episcopal.
So wait,
girls
how did they
placed
do that?
first.
How did they do that on Friday and Saturday with the weather?
Friday was fine.
Okay.
Saturday
Okay.
they had to push back. I mean,
That is
Saturday was 5A school,
miserable.
so that was Catholic. So they had to push it back. They were there till 2:30 in the morning. I
That
heard.
is miserable.
That
Yeah.
sounds awful.
Friday we got to avoid it, like just for that part of the meet. It was.
Would you rather have been there until 2:30 in the morning on Saturday, or thrown up in the bathroom on Friday?
It wasn't in the bathroom. It was under the bleachers. but-
Oh, that's like the third worst thing you've done under a bleacher, I'd imagine.
Woo!
Wait, you were publicly vomiting?
Nobody really saw me. I mean,
But you vomited in
I
public?
didn't eat or drink, you know, that whole day because I was scared and I wanted to make it to the track meet and be able to. But I couldn't not drink some water. I was dying of thirst.
Right.
And John's mom was sitting there downing water. I was
she was
texting Lloyd.
texting me.
I was like, I'm the most dehydrated person on the face of the earth right now. Like I don't even know how I'm here.
And
then
she
I
was like,
couldn't
look
take
at
it
this. She was
anymore.
like, look at all these people in the stands just drinking water in
drinking
front of me.
damn
And I was
water.
like,
Why didn't you ask for a sip?
I had to. Well,
because
I
she was
didn't-
scared she was going to throw it up. And
Yeah,
she
I
was
didn't
like
know.
jealous of everyone just,
John was like offering me nachos, and I was like, mm-mm.
no. Get you a Frito pie and a
Oh
Sprite.
my god. So, yeah,
At least
other
you didn't have to
than
throw
that,
up in the
great
bath.
weekend.
That's what I pictured, was you like going to a high
what we
school
were talking about, public
bathroom
bathrooms.
and in the public.
Hell no.
And, like-
I'd throw up in front of you outside on the grass before I go lean down in a toilet like that and throw up in there.
She's
Yeah.
a drunk.
Ugh.
The outdoor puke is very liberating.
Yes, very freeing.
I guess so. Mine's probably a little different than y'all's would be.
No, I mean, throwing up is throwing up.
Yeah.
You know, yours
mean-
is probably
I
like a
mean,
little
everybody's in a vulnerable spot.
Yeah,
when
yeah,
they're
yeah.
Yeah.
It is a very vulnerable.
bit. I like to make it fun.
I mean-
you know?
Remember the
bet
first
you
time you
do.
saw your crush puke?
Oh my god,
You're
yes,
like, oh,
I do.
no.
I don't know if I like
all
them.
gone.
Yeah. Well,
Literally.
Well, y'all are weird. I mean, like a lot of guys like scream at the toilet. I feel like
It
when you,
depe-
throw
yeah.
up, you just scream at it,
I guess
yell
it's
at
like a
it.
sneeze.
It
Yeah.
is. It's like
It
the
could
way
come
that
out
y'all
very
sneeze.
guttural.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like you scream when you sneeze. Anything like
Oof.
that, it's just a scream. It's
I
so
love-
startling.
I
A
love
loud
good.
sneezer. Heads up.
Yeah.
Watch out for them.
I love a good
Yeah,
vomit
no,
at
I hate it
at
when
like
you-
a house party. The guy outside that's like vomiting but like making a show of it. You're like, he's like, oh my god, look how much is coming out of me. It's like laughing, and then you can't help but laugh with him. You're like, drink some more, do it again. It's like a party trick.
Puke and rally.
If you can rally, it's like,
Coming out of
I'm gonna feel way better after this.
Absolutely.
You do. That's
It's
the
the ultimate
thing.
move. You got to
You
pull the
really
trigger.
do.
You're just too full. It's not
Yeah.
that I'm drunk. I'm just full.
So LSU baseball weekend ahead for the Tigers. They've got Northwestern and Mississippi State. That sounds like 4 wins. Nothing
Hey.
better to get back on.
we
No
just
bigger
had kind of a
slump buster in the
different
conference than Mississippi State.
Put them
We
both
just had
together.
kind
When
of
you
a
need that
different
for sure.
conversation.
Hey, you up? Hell yeah, I'm up.
Katie, you gonna wear your jersey?
Man, I don't know. I just in my head, just the way you're talking, I feel like should there be some type of bet? I mean,
Sure.
I thought we just all agreed that like maybe one win is going to come out of this
Who?
for Mississippi State
Who
for
said
the
that?
weekend.
There's a chance they
Did we
can
not-
win.
Did you dream that?
I thought we were in the nest, and
The trust tree, the thing.
what happened? Was that just me and you?
No,
Chances are it's
I
your
don't-
standard cotton.
I don't recall that
But
conversation.
maybe there's something I don't even know about.
Something cool I've never even heard about.
Okay, I thought maybe I was gonna get.
No, I would bet on a sweep.
And
Oh.
she
For
just
the
has to
Tigers.
win one.
Shoot. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we could put a bet on that.
Dang. I don't know, Jordan.
Dinner?
I mean,
Movie?
I wasn't really banking on a sweep.
Okay, well, it sounds like that's a bet.
That's what I'm
Kinda
saying. You
does
did,
sound like
yeah,
it.
you just have.
It sounds
you
like
got
you want.
plenty of time to come up
Sounds
with
like
one.
you want to lay down a wager.
You're out the window.
What do you got, Brad? Brad Bohannon?
I don't know what to do.
I love that guy. That guy. I mean, this guy is in it.
Nobody looks.
I mean, he is about to become an example. And I'm talking about Alabama's baseball coach, who was busted for gambling last week. Alabama sure did move fast on Bohannon, who was removed from his spot. Since 2017, he's been the Alabama head baseball coach. He was making $425,000 a year annually. It is being, I don't know if this is reported yet, but there has been discussion that the bet was $200,000.
That's what I've heard too. We could say allegedly.
And he put on LSU, and he like nobody. He doesn't think that there's going to be a red flag that's raised in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Where there's no wagers being
this
placed on
story
LSU,
is
Alabama.
just-
How
I
did
mean,
how did he get caught?
because somebody is laying 200 G's on an Alabama LSU baseball game in Cincinnati.
Why would you be that dumb?
10 minutes before first pitch. I don't know. I guess it's because that's not the first time that he's ever done
Clearly.
it. And that's why this is going to become a 30 for 30. I'm telling you.
it has to.
This is going to be a 30 for 30 because he's probably been doing this for years.
That's-
I mean, I'm just saying out loud, and I've got no experience in this. But I mean, if we're just talking about a place in sports to wash money if I'm a gambler, college baseball would be a fantastic spot to
guess
do
so,
it
yeah.
because nobody's paying attention.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, if I want to pepper 1,000 here or 2,000 here, I mean, I can do this all day if I've got insider info and wash the hell out of
Yeah.
all this cash, right? If I'm a sitting head coach, right, nobody has more insider information than this cat. And by the signs of it, I mean, if he's laying down, allegedly, nothing reported, upwards of $200K 10 minutes before first pitch after he scratches the starting pitcher
mean-
due to the bed at the hotel the night before.
A to B to C
I mean,
equals.
and then you've got like direct contact of his cell phone reaching out to somebody at the Cincinnati casino, which is in the Cincinnati Reds ballpark. Like this is how close sports and gambling is now tied.
So stupid.
Right? Like, I
yeah.
mean, that this is. And this guy puts down $200K on Skeens to only get half of his money back. Like, LSU was like plus 240?
Minus 245.
I said minus 245. So, I mean, like, a $200,000 bet, that's paying back, like.
Yeah, allegedly, this is all courtesy of Darren Ravel. Think of him what you want, but he wrote the article. It LSU steamrolled to it's a former travel ball coach that was able to play substantial wagers on the LSU money line, which closed at minus 245 and a parlay that included the game. So he's either betting the over and like the run total.
So he's just
and
a part of the
LSU.
total. He's a part of the $200K. He's not forking up he's with a group.
Yeah, that's what. If you
okay.
want to,
Yeah.
obviously we don't know what happened,
Sure.
but the more that you think about this, if he's calling somebody in Cincinnati, Ohio, that's a former travel ball coach, he's probably got an operation of 5 or 6 people that he called.
You also
Yeah.
got to remember, gambling's illegal in Alabama. It's
That's right.
legal in Louisiana.
That's right.
So when he gets to Louisiana, he's now got access
Says
to
to
all these
Caesar
apps,
Sportsbook.
right? Like that. I'm sure he's got some burner account
What a dog.
that goes back to
Or a burner phone. They
his
prob-
cell
yeah.
phone.
Yeah.
Though I mean, it's all under some operation of he's tied to it. So I mean, like they said, within like 2 minutes,
Oh, yeah.
like the red flag was like, hang on,
Nobody's bet on this game yet today.
amateurs
Right,
on aisle
right.
3.
Right, 3
You know what I
minutes
mean?
before
Like,
first pitch, 200K. It's like, you stay right there.
Wait a minute,
Yeah.
wait a minute. Shut the window in the LSU Bama baseball game. Hang on.
You
hang-
stay with us.
Yeah, right. Get those two. Come here. Let me see your cell phone.
I bet his phone was blowing up during the game, and he's probably like,
Oh my
this is
God.
the last game I'll coach. My last
Oh my
series,
God,
for
this
sure.
is the last series. He knew. He
Yeah.
had to know he
He
was
had
cooked.
to,
He had to
yeah.
know he was cooked.
Oh my God.
How much
I'm
did you
an
put
idiot.
down? I said 200, not 200K. Like, what are you doing?
I know.
200.
Because, like you said, you could do this forever. If
Yes.
you just did little, like,
Oh, I mean,
small
like-
Smaller
wagers.
increments.
I mean, like I'm saying, like if you're shaving points
Yeah.
somewhere
Yeah.
in college,
Paul
right?
Crewe.
Like I mean, like college baseball has got to be
The easiest
one of the easiest places
Yeah.
to do that. Just because I mean nobody really cares.
Right.
I mean, no, I mean to shave points, like as a football team, like you got to get to the quarterback, you got to get to the coach, you got to get to the, you know what I mean? Like you gotta infiltrate
ref.
Yeah.
a program to really like throw a game.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could get to the deep snapper. They've
Yeah,
always
but
said
he-
like
oh,
a
yeah.
deep snapper is it's a great place to point shave in football. Like I could get you a couple of safeties real quick.
You know, one time a
You know
year,
what I mean?
you know.
Like- I mean,
Remember that
like,
one you owe us.
Yo, man, if you sail this snap over his head, I got 120 for you.
National championship. Like, oh, God.
But just college baseball, I mean, but I'm telling you, this story it runs so deep. It runs so much deeper than the LSU.
I wonder how much
Bama
they'll bury
Friday night
this,
game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it'll get buried, but I think ultimately it'll come back up like in some type of documentary, some type of in-depth look of what this really
The
was.
day the domino fell.
Like, has
I mean,
more
exactly.
stuff come out about him?
What's that?
And have more things come out
I
about
haven't
him
seen it,
and,
but
like,
I
his
think people are
betting or-
now crawling up his ass.
Totally,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like
They'll
people are
find out
now
more.
looking into, and you know, once you pop somebody for doing something like this,
The
and you start
floodgates.
looking for it
Oh, yeah.
in previous games, it's
That's
kind
what
of
I'm
easy to
wondering.
find.
Like, has that happened yet?
You know, well, I'm sure that, I definitely. I
Yeah.
guarantee you the SEC
Yeah.
and Greg Sankey have to have moved on this just for legal purposes. You know
How
what I
much
mean? Just to
fun
make
to
sure.
start digging for all that. And
Oh,
try to
yeah, it's
find
like
it
the
all out.
accountant.
Exactly.
Just get your highlighter out.
Exactly.
But if Bohannon did do, like, I would imagine the bet that he placed, if he was betting on LSU with Skeen starting, he definitely, and it's a parlay, he definitely took the under and he got fucked by his own team.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm praying.
in the dugout, "Stop scoring!"
I'm praying that somebody has like some organic film of the dugout while they're making that run from Bama, like just like being like, look how fired up the team is, and like Bohannon's in the corner, like, God,
Courtney,
damn,
grab a
man."
bat.
Like, I mean, like,
Where's the freshman?
Jesus, I'm about to go up to bat.
Take me and get two here. Got a
I
strategy.
mean, just like they almost won the game. Let's get back and won.
About to be out 400K. I was only trying to get two.
Skeen's second loss of the year.
Should have bet on LSU. I mean, just bet on Alabama. Boys are trying to make a comeback, and coach is sweating it.
That is so good, dude. I mean,
Couldn't be
and
any
the
funnier.
best part about Bohannon is this guy is central casting for a mob movie, and I'm talking about like the hitman in the mob movie.
Yeah.
Like, I
He
mean,
looks like somebody that gets caught.
He is a Hollywood villain in his next life.
Yeah.
I mean, he does not look like a college baseball. As a college baseball coach, he looks like he needs a toothpick and like a bag
Exactly,
of chew
100%.
in a bag of his pocket, you know, or like a betting form.
Yeah,
Hold up.
yeah. I mean, it's this.
I mean,
Yeah.
look
It
at
looks
this
like-
guy.
It is weird.
I mean,
It looks like Alabama.
That's what I was about to say. It looks like Alabama.
But he does need a toothpick
No
to set the
offense,
look
Hunter
off.
God, he looks like he should be chewing on a toothpick
Uh-huh,
all
just-
day.
He probably
Big.
does, right?
I'm
He
telling you.
does.
Big.
My high school football coach was from
Plug-in.
Arkansas, chewed a toothpick all day.
Yeah.
I mean, he could do like
the
toothpick
tongue.
gymnastics. with
Yeah.
it.
A little
Like flip it around.
lucky lady.
Yeah.
That freaks me out when they do that. Though.
Oh,
It gets
lift the
stuck?
toothpick
Get
and I'm-
stuck on the roof of your mouth.
Yes, yes.
I mean, it's
I'm
definitely
always like,
Big
what are you
Lebowski.
doing?
Jesus, man.
Jesus.
All right, so LSU baseball back at it again. We got anything wagered on this sweep?
No, I haven't.
Well, we
I
got
gotta
plenty of
think
time to
we
think
gotta
about it.
think
We'll
about
cook
it.
something up.
We
Do you
gotta
still have
think
your
about it.
jersey?
Yeah, I still have it. The one that I wore for my other
Mm-hmm.
losing bat. Yeah, I do. Of course I do.
0-2.
No, and
Yeah,
two.
I know.
You have to update
The
it.
number changed. I'm gonna just keep putting it
Might
up,
go through
so-
a number change. Hunter Hall, you look at one picture of Bohannon and you can't miss it.
Yep.
Agreed. I'm telling you.
Guilty.
I mean, this guy, if he does not go to jail for the rest of his life, because I'm telling you they're going to make an example out of him. I mean, he may not go to jail, but he is done.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't think
He
that's
is
gonna
done
happen.
coaching baseball.
Oh,
He should
yeah.
go straight to Hollywood and start reading lines for all of the bad guys in the coming up.
He won't be able to coach high school or
no
USSSA or
he
select
may
teams.
be able to coach some type of lower level high school somewhere. That
Does he sound the way he looks?
I don't
Anybody
know.
heard him
He
speak?
talks with venom.
I'd
He
like
tried
to
to get
hear.
kicked out of Saturday's game. Obviously, he probably wanted to get on the road and start running from the cops.
no doubt.
It's like, I gotta get took out of town.
I mean, like,
yeah.
can we play a doubleheader on Saturday?
I'm trying to get ejected, and I'm packing my things, and I'm going home.
I mean, it does make a ton of sense why he got thrown out on Saturday.
Yeah.
He's probably just a nervous.
Yeah, what did he do to get thrown out?
There was a
Just
play, a ball.
Probably told the umpire, "Please God, throw me out."
Yeah, what's the magic word?
Right.
I could think of a couple.
What's your wife's name?
You're about to find out in jail. But there was a ball up against the net, like a foul ball over the catcher's head, and the catcher, LSU fouled it off, and they caught it off the wall, like off the net, and they didn't think that it hit the net. We don't know if it hit the net. You couldn't see on the camera, but they initially called him out, and then they reviewed it, and they said the ball didn't hit the net, so he tried to go get tossed. And I guess, I don't know if he did or not, but he definitely like sprinted out the dugout and threw a massive fit. He had a lot on his mind. I get it. Because I was wondering why he was so upset. Like it's like an innocuous call. You can't tell.
Yeah.
Like the catcher grabbed the net. It could have been
Like,
the ball.
coach.
You're like, whoa. And he was like, no, I'm
Yeah.
fired.
Yeah.
For like the next 2 innings.
Right.
He was working them out.
You don't understand.
I'm going through mentally.
Like,
Oh my gosh.
I just got popped.
Yeah, he was in trouble.
Remember Daily, we're brought to you by Katie's Restaurant. Our friends over at Katie's, located on Iberville Street down in New Orleans. If you're heading down to New Orleans, or if you're down in the city and want to get a taste of New Orleans, stop in and see them for lunch today. Katie'sInMidCity.com, Katie'sInMidCity.com. 3701 Iberville Street. 3701 Iberville Street is where they're located. The entire menu, from St. Louis style to New Orleans style eats, is online at Katie'sInMidCity.com. And you can also check out their sister restaurant, Francesca's by Katie's, which is located in Lakeview. Everything's online. Katie'sInMidCity.com. Go see Scott Craig. Tell him you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We appreciate his partnership as always. So from LSU baseball, as the Tigers will be back on the diamond this week versus Northwestern and taking on Mississippi State this weekend. To a little bit of college basketball. Did you see this? LeBron James is staying out west. Bronny James is staying out west. He's going to Southern Cal as he committed to USC, the Sierra Canyon point guard. And USC commit Bronny James, who is, of course, the son of NBA star LeBron James, has built a reputation now and is a top 50 high school player coming up in the 2023 class. He chose USC over Ohio State and Miami. He has an NIL evaluation of $5.9 million. He already has pre-existing NIL deals with Beats by Dre, the movie Fast and Furious.
Cameo?
I think his dad's the executive producer.
Oh.
I mean, if you read LeBron James's media company has nearly,
Oh, yeah, he does a lot.
they have almost taken over Hollywood.
He
I
does
mean,
a lot.
like, if you pay attention to the credits, they're everywhere.
That's Spring Hill
Spring Hill, that's the name of it. Spring Hill Productions
Spring Hill Company.
is, and I mean, their name is all. I mean, that is why LeBron is a Laker.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
how.
yeah.
That's how they hoaxed him to Los Angeles. That, I mean, get out of. You're already the number one athlete in the world. Become, the number one entertainer in the world, or a part of the biggest entertainment organization.
I mean, none of theirs, the filmography isn't good, right? Like Space Jam was a flop.
But
Hustle?
it still made money.
Yeah,
It's
but I'm
Space
just saying,
Jam.
like, they're not making anything good yet. Like,
Right.
House Party's not good. So I guess he's attached on the back end as like EP of like Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, he's got like a production company. Like,
Right.
He's making movies.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are some of the movies that he's made. I was just wondering how he got. I would imagine if you have the rights to Fast and Furious, you're printing money.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I doubt he has the rights to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he's tagged along, like you said, just kind of throwing his name on it.
But yeah, you got enough money, you can be an executive producer.
Yeah,
He also has a NIL deal with Nike. Does Bronny?
Has to. He's the first one in the family to go to college, too.
That's right.
that's crazy.
I know.
So
who needed to?
Bronny
Well,
is, and I think that I think that there's a play here to get Bronny to the NBA pretty quick and put LeBron on the same team as Bronny and have them become the first father-son duo to play professional basketball
That's
together.
amazing.
I mean, I think we've seen it a couple of times
Seen it
in
in baseball. Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr.
right?
That's the only. That's the one I can think of off the top of my head. I think there's somebody for the Cubs too. But
Right. They've
basketball
had
seems
a
it seems
couple. Well, it just seems so unlikely.
nobody's
Nobody
going to play
plays
till
as
they're
long
40, right?
as LeBron has played, and still dominant. Because right now, if you're keeping up, and I know that it's not a popular topic, but right now is really a cool time for the NBA and the NBA playoffs. At least as far as the competition goes, this is usually when you see the best athletes in the world giving you everything they got. And the Los Angeles Lakers took a 2-1 lead over Golden State on Saturday night. They'll play Game 4 tonight. But when Los Angeles has looked right, they have looked dominant, and Anthony Davis has been the best player in that series for the first couple of games. And he's tried to leave the game a couple of times with injuries, but he stayed on the floor, and he has become really, in certain spots, really kind of unguardable. Offensively, but really the change has been defensively is the way that he's playing.
That's for the whole Lakers unit. After they made those trades, their defense, they shut up in efficiency, and they're top 5 in almost every category defensively. So that's where they're making their hay. And you got LeBron, who's still hurtling over the crowd somehow into the first row and sprinting up the tunnel. You're just like, when is it going to stop? I love having LeBron in the league because he still is probably the face of the league at 38 years old. But Anthony Davis is the engine for that team. If they're going to make a run, it's going to go through Anthony Davis as the best player on the court, which – we were talking about this before the show. If AD is your catalyst to try to get you through, get you to an NBA Finals, you're nervous. And if you're the 76ers and James Harden is the guy driving you to the NBA Finals, you're nervous.
Yeah.
Because you cannot count on either one of those two to put together either one to stay healthy or to stay consistent. Because AD has shown that the series. Whenever he plays well, they win.
The stat of Anthony Davis playing 25 games in a row, you got to look it up. It's wild. How he can never get there.
Can I say that again?
He can never get to playing 25 games in a row in his career.
AD?
He cannot.
No matter what.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
It's an amazing stat. How close he's come, how many times he's gotten flirted with it, but that he just can't get past
the number.
that level. It's just the level of the game he can't get past. But right
Theoretically,
now,
you could play 25 playoff games, right?
absolutely.
So
He's about to. That's why it's coming up.
Oh, okay.
Because he's about to test the theory.
Oh God.
He's about
gosh.
to give a great test to it. And like I said, he's tried to take himself out of the game a couple of times.
How far has he made it?
He's gotten to 21, 22. But you can see in that 22nd game, in the second half, he falls off a cliff.
Uh-huh.
You might as well go put him back in the street clothes.
Yeah.
He's dead. But right now, man, he had 25 on Saturday. I think he's averaging 13 boards in this series. Defensively, he's a problem. Golden State looks a little old at times. They look. Steph's still Steph.
Yeah, he is.
And Steph is must-watch television. He's incredible and fun to watch. But Draymond looks a little old, and conversely, Los Angeles, the moves that they have made and who they brought in at the trade deadline, to me, is one of the great moves if they can close this thing out and they can make a run. But Austin Reeves is a problem now. They switched and put him.
Billy Kobe.
They switched and put him on Steph the other night. That was a little bit of an issue. They put.
Jared Vanderbilt.
They put Jared Vanderbilt on Draymond Green on that pick and roll. Anthony Davis is now stepping out on that pick and roll, not giving Steph the ability to kind of come off of it and quick trigger it.
Right.
That's a tough dude to shoot over if you're Steph's size compared to Anthony Davis, stretched out at 7'4".
He can and pick the shot
over you. Defensively, I think Darvin Ham deserves a lot of credit. I'm not ready to say that Los Angeles is going to win the series, because I mean, obviously this thing is it shifts back and forth game to game, and it turns out it looks like it's going to be a great series. But when the Lakers are right, when they're moving and LeBron, and this is the first, like this is only like the second time that LeBron and AD have played plus 35 minutes together.
That's wild.
I mean, it's wild. I mean, some of the things that they're doing is just it's nuts. For like first time, and they've been together so long. So I'm not ready to say that they can close it out, but they look tough, man. And on the East side,
they're a 7 seed too.
I know.
That's what's crazy.
They love that.
Uh-huh.
They love that. That was a great spot for them. Coming up, we're going to talk to Glenn West. Glenn West is going to catch us up. We got a lot to talk about with Glenn, whether it is recruiting in football, recruiting in women's basketball. Man, I started trolling the South Carolina fans this
Jordy,
weekend on Twitter.
I asked Jordy,
What
I was
are you
like,
just picking off every fan base?
I was like, is this
I got a
Marshall
little
Jake
bored.
on our Twitter?
I got bored. Well, I put that tweet out.
Well, you got a taste of it with your crawfish.
Right.
Yeah,
So now you're
did.
you're addicted to
Right.
trolling.
I am. Which you're welcome down there in Lafayette. I saw they're printing T-shirts and making the news on this stuff.
Yeah, it did take on a life of its own.
I mean,
it was
good
on like
Lord.
national accounts.
It's amazing.
It was.
Whoa.
Point of the story:
It's easy
quit
though,
dusting.
Right? South Carolina comes at you hard. Remember, you told me you were like, "Stop engaging" when I was going at it with them. I'm like, I can't.
Well,
They're
you were.
so
I thought you
mean.
were you were kind of like allowing them. Like you got to rise above what they're talking about.
couldn't
They
that
try
day.
to keep it.
And you
so-
got to stoop lower.
Yeah, right.
Couldn't.
Like they
I was
want to.
just
They want to
asking
go
them.
political.
Yeah.
They want to make it like
I was
about.
like, bring it. Do
They
it.
want to
to
make
me.
it
Bring
like. But if you just hit them where you hit them with the fact, like they think Dawn Staley's resume is untouched,
They
and
do.
you're like, well, y'all really want to play this game?
They do, but they came at you pretty hard with who won the game again.
Yeah,
this
but
year?
like,
Who's got the natty?
and I was hitting them with, you can. It's going to be fun at the reunion. And tell everybody, we beat the national champs in the regular season.
I know.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah, what happened after that?
You know what I mean? Like, we did win the SEC. Sweet. Did y'all win the national championship? No. So you're telling me this collection of talent of all these South Carolina superstars, WNBA, first-round picks, and I got to hear about Dawn Staley's resume day and night about how good of a coach she is and how much better than everybody she is, and she can't get past Iowa? Like, sweet that you beat LSU by 25 in, earlier in the season. It counts for nothing. I mean,
It's like LSU fans.
that would be like LSU fans like waving the flag about a regular season win that they have after getting beat in a bowl.
No, it'd be like talking shit to Georgia fans and be like, well, we beat Bama. Like in the regular season, like, we don't care. Like, we won the SEC championship.
Right.
We won the national championship. It's
But
just
historically, they're a great team. Like, they've got bragging rights.
Bragging rights for what?
Just being the team that they are. I mean, she's a great coach. They have a great team. Right? We can't deny this.
right.
Well, I mean, sure.
they
Like
beat-
they've had it. What I'm saying is, you've had a great run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's over.
You
Is
think
what I'm
it
saying.
is? You think it's over?
For what they've been accomplishing, being the unanimous number
Yeah.
one team in the absolutely, it's
Okay.
over. I mean, like they're not about to be preseason number one every year. They're not to have.
Not going to steamroll
They're not
the
going to
conference
steamroll.
every. Yeah,
through
it'll still, I
everybody.
think it'll
I mean,
still.
look at where all the players are going.
Yeah.
The players aren't going. She recruited Angel Reese. She missed. She recruited Haley Van Lith. She missed. She recruited Aneesah Morrow. She missed.
Yeah.
The Morrow miss obviously meant something to her because
Yeah.
she put that picture out of her drinking that coffee. That was weird. All
Yeah, that
kind of
was
like
weird.
close to the thing, kind of like show I don't care. Well, I mean, obviously you do
Yeah, that
because
was weird.
I mean, if that's your job to swing and miss on the three top players
Mm-hmm.
in the portal for 2 consecutive years after you've got a reputation of being a really good recruiter, that's got to sting.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm in sales. If I miss 3 huge sales opportunities in 2 consecutive years, I would beat myself up over it. Right? I mean, that has to be happening. I would also understand if I missed those 3 sales opportunities, our company would not be able to experience the same type of a success as we have been.
She's got something in her back pocket like Caitlin Clark. She's about to bust out with it.
Well, the portal's closed.
Yeah,
it's done. That's their team. And look, I'm not saying that South Carolina's going to be bad.
Right.
That's what I was going to say.
You know, I mean, like
Yeah,
they're going to be good, but the run of who they have been is over.
Yeah.
They have a challenger now.
Yeah, and she knows that, and that's why she's been spreading that message in the home of recruits. You know, of make sure and get to know Kim Mulkey before you go play with her, and everybody's saying, okay, well, we will.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's been her message, and I think, you know, that's why it's opened them up to be very easy to mess with.
But
right?
the
Like,
support they have.
that
I mean, you saw
is-
some of those people coming in there, coming at
Yeah.
you on
Well,
Twitter.
I mean, that's
like,
why it's
they
fun
got
to-
some players
That's
supporting.
why it's fun to go at them because
Yeah.
they got a lot of people.
They really do. It's wild.
They help our numbers.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean,
they did add the JUCO Player of the Year, South Carolina,
sweet.
Sakima Walker. So
LSU added the number 1 high school player, the number 1 and number 2 transfer player, the number 1 post player. They got the number 1 recruiting class in the country. They got the number 1 transfer class in the country.
and the number 1 probably player in the country, or 2 coming back from.
Angel,
Yeah. So it's not like she's gone.
it's a good day to be an LSU Tiger. That's all I was saying on Twitter. I mean,
saying.
that's all I was saying. I mean, it really was.
I was like, what is happening? Like, why are we so
You want to talk
angry?
crawfish? No, we talk crab. I don't know if you dust a crab.
no
I think
chance.
you do. I think you can, right?
No,
I
I
don't
wouldn't
know.
dust
I don't know. That's a
anything.
Maryland, South Carolina debate, I'd
Right.
imagine.
Don't
What do
dust
they eat
anything.
crab in South Carolina?
They eat crab
They
like
do.
legs, right?
Yeah. Like a different type, right?
Yeah.
That
I
they
don't
have
know.
there.
I don't know. Blue crab?
Maybe.
Kentucky blue crab? Grass?
But you do not dust blue crabs like a crab boil.
Yeah, that would be weird.
I mean, you boil them like crawfish.
But you know somebody's out there dusting.
No doubt.
Somebody's out there dusting crabs.
Somebody's out there dusting. It might be
Somebody down in
Dustin.
Lafayette is.
Dustin. It's
That,
Dustin.
and that was another thing about it. Like they sent back like an LSU account of somebody
I saw that.
that was dusting, and one of our
was like
listeners,
a
I think it was
how-to
Brandon
video.
Hollingsworth, went and found the guy's bio, and it turns out he was from Acadiana.
Oh, no.
But it's not an LSU versus USL debate on dusting. It's that part of the state. It doesn't mean that you went to USL and you dust your crawfish. It just was that USL on the company Twitter account put them dumping a bucket full of dust on top of a crawfish boil that just looked disgusting. I mean, I'm not the only one that reacted to it, by the way. You know what I mean? I guess we kicked the hornet's nest and like opened everybody up to it.
Yeah, you
but
did.
I mean, everybody was going to catch it.
Somebody, yeah.
I mean,
Somebody
it wasn't. We just caught it first, I guess.
Right.
But I mean, like, look around. People are like, "This is disgusting."
Or then there's the other side that's backing it. Said if you do it properly, then you can do it. And
Yeah.
it's like I don't know anything about it. Either
They
one
say
of these
you
things.
soak
But
it after you dust it, and then you
But
let it
that's
like
not
sit and
true.
soak in the dust,
Like
and then
a
it seeps in.
just say it out loud. A crawfish boil. We're boiling the crawfish in the seasoning. That's the purpose of the boil. The whole buildup of the boil is getting that water right, getting that taste right, so you know, like, all right, now's the time to put it in there because this is the juice.
This is the flavor.
that I want the crawfish to suck up.
Yeah.
When I turn that boil off, that's when it gets to cooking. Like that's when the crawfish, everything's happening.
So why can't you add the dust then at that point? And
Because
let 'em
you
sit in
already
it?
have
Flavor
done that.
in
You
it.
don't want more.
right.
And when you do that, it becomes a murder scene on your hands. It becomes this just why?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I
Why?
don't care that much, but like,
I mean, like, I know this. You probably won't believe this. I really don't either. Because
are you sure?
But I know that's hard to believe because it's almost like a non-starter for me. If I see it, I'm out.
yeah, really, you wouldn't even eat it?
No chance.
Stop.
No chance.
But would you say something?
Huh?
Would you say something?
Probably.
Yeah. So it is.
I would just ask how. Why?
Yeah,
You know
okay.
what I mean? Like, I just was why? Like, what made you like?
Oh, it's this kind of party.
But is this the same thing as like I like it when people throw stuff into the boil like artichokes and different things like
Yeah, but
that.
that's just
some people
that's
get
the
mad.
decorations on the tree.
Okay, but
You
is
know?
that bad?
I mean, all that is sucking up that juice, and you're
It's all gonna
taking
taste
that
like the
artichoke
water.
and you're just getting the juice off of that artichoke.
Yeah.
You're eating the garlic you like what the juice has done to the garlic. So whatever you put in there, the sausage, the onions, the garlic, the mushrooms.
I like all that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
But
so
that doesn't.
Not wrong.
That's not
wrong.
That's not contributing to the flavor of the crawfish. That's
right. That's
contributing
kind of
to the juice is going there too.
For me, it's a. I love the visual of it. I love the color.
Yeah.
The corn, the green, like all of that with the crawfish looks fantastic.
Me too.
So like as much as you can put in there,
Yeah.
like do it. You don't want to put overboard, but there's a lot of good stuff you can put into a crawfish boil.
But do people feel like that takes away from the crawfish?
I don't think so. I've never heard that theory.
Okay.
LSU has officially been dethroned as the #1 team in the country.
Yeah, number 2.
Wake Forest?
Wake Forest.
Sweet. I love it. Embrace it. Get the hunger back, man. Get the motivation back. Not that they've lost it, you know what I mean? But that is something that you can use.
Oh yeah, I think they had flipped it the other way, where they were using it as like we're treating every game as if it's an elimination game. That's what they were doing going into like midweek games or series. They would try to take say let's take 2 of 3. They looked at everything as like building as if it's a tournament game, and so this probably will send a message not from if not I don't think the fan base is going to do anything, but from a coaching staff perspective with Jay Johnson, they actually he'll probably pitch the message. This feels like you've been eliminated from the tournament. If you've losing 2 of 3 for the first time this year, this is the first time we haven't accomplished our goal. This is what it feels like. We were eliminated. Let's start over now.
I love that.
Me too.
Yeah.
He knows how to push all the right buttons. I'm not worried about.
No, I'm not worried.
Because it's so hard to compete like that for. What we played 45 games, 42 games, something like that. I think they were 38-7. So it's hard to continually keep that monster off your back.
Tough.
Yeah. So
not only that.
All right, throw it out.
Yeah, man. Not only that, you're getting everybody's fiercest punch. And I'm not trying to take away from. I think Auburn's playing their best baseball right now. They beat South Carolina 2 weeks ago. They beat LSU this past weekend. This is the high point of their season. They're moving right now. So I'm not trying to take anything away from them. But every single weekend, every single night, LSU shows up to the park. You're getting the opposing dugout's best punch. Everything they got. And for LSU to endure that for 11 weeks and to be in the spot where they were, I think is more of a testimony of who they are. I think that's, and that also, that will season you. That will make you better. That will sharpen you, every day that you show up to the park knowing I got to be on, because if I'm not, you might get run. Because they're going to be on. The other team is going to be on. The game that Nichols played. When they came, that's the best game they've played all year long, right? And I'm not disrespecting. That was impressive to see the way that they played at that level. But that's every night that you're getting. Northwestern's probably going to play their best game.
You saw UL. Continuing that conversation, but they did everything they could to get that win. They played a different style of ball game than they would normally play in a midweek, because that's how important it was to them. So you got their best punch. And so you see every midweek team do it. And at some point, it does wear you down. You're supposed to be on the easiest part of their schedule, and LSU was able to get back-to-back sweeps. But at some point, the other foot's going to drop, and you just ran into a hot Auburn team, like you said. So it's not shocking, I guess, if you'd said before the year that they were going to lose the series at Auburn, nobody would have taken that. But considering what the gauntlet that they've been through and teams that are getting hot at this time, it wasn't a complete shock.
Well, it's a weird weekend too, right?
A lot of teams were beat, right?
The top 5 teams.
Yeah, a lot of teams. Yeah, all around the league.
Lost Saturday, right?
UConn's number 3 in the country.
So it was a weird weekend.
Did not expect to see that on the list.
But that's the type of games I think. That's UConn in baseball at number 3 in the country. Come do a month in the SEC.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying. This is the big leagues compared to AA. I would think. If you're UConn, maybe even Wake Forest.
Yeah, Wake Forest has been good all year.
They have been good all year, and I'm not trying to discredit them.
But no, you're just saying ACC.
I'm talking about the competition.
Right.
You look at LSU's first 7 weeks of the season, Coach. That's the big leagues. You look up 3 years from now, a lot of those kids are going to be on big league teams in organizations. It's just the SEC has become a feeder for not only the NFL but Major League Baseball, and is fastly turning for one into the NBA. It's where the best facilities are, it's where the best coaches are, it's where the best players are, and that's why teams like UConn and even really Wake Forest, and I might have to eat my words in the postseason. They really don't intimidate me. More than intimidates me in the postseason would be like having to play Florida,
right?
Or having to play like Arkansas. Like teams like that, going to having to play one of those teams again. Texas A&M, where this team's they're grizzled, they're seasoned. They've done the SEC gauntlet all year. I mean, the first time UConn runs into LSU pitching, LSU's lineup, they're going to be like, whoa, this ain't the Big East.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, hang on. The 9-hole hitter's 6'7"?
Yeah.
He's got 14 home runs?
Stravinsky comes off the bench like, who's that?
Right. I mean, it's just,
he hits it
this is
110
a
off the
whole
bat.
different animal.
Yeah.
That's the Yankees, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a little
That's
different
not
down
Temple. I mean, like, it's not.
But that's what they've talked about the same, like you talk about the SEC conference. Everybody in D1 baseball, or even Jay has said, where you're going to see almost 10 to 12 SEC teams and like hosting a regional. Like that's what they expect from the conference. Is they're that well respected around the league. Is that it's in the SEC. The SEC has probably 10 of the best teams in the country.
And I saw the mock draft that came out. They posted it on the game on Saturday. The first 30 picks, 18 of them are from the league.
From the SEC?
Yeah, I mean, like, you're not even accounting for, like, high schoolers and international guys.
Right.
I mean, like, you throw those into the mix, I mean, you probably can't find an ACC or a Big East player in a mile. I mean, it's all SEC and Cubans.
Yeah, and high school kids from Texas.
It's where the best players are. I mean, it's where the best facilities are.
I don't think we're breaking any news there.
No, not at all. All right, let's go. We're going to talk to our boy Glenn West, Big G, 7-footer. Covers LSU for 24/7. You can talk to him about anything. We'll talk to him about recruiting. We'll talk to him about football, spring practice, wrapping up, what some of his thoughts are for the offseason. We'll also talk to him about women's basketball cleaning up, and then LSU baseball obviously coming down the stretch here. What's Glenn think about Tigers being bumped out of the top spot as they host Mississippi State this upcoming weekend? Jordy Culotta Show, driven, empowered, built every day by RMB Builders. Get in touch with RMB online at rmb-builders.com, and you can also check them out on Instagram. Their social media is fantastic. You can keep up with all of their projects and what they got going on. We're talking to more LSU. We're talking to Glenn West next here. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button.
Just pumped out an article.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college, for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at jordyculotta.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Fourier Insurance Agency, established in 1946, locally can help you with any of your home, auto, commercial, contractors, life and health insurance today. Give them a call, 225-383-0682, or log online to FourierAgency.com.
she's on her way up.
Hey, G, I got you something.
Hey, Coach. What do you think? Is this too much?
If you look good, you play good.
All right, then. Let's get it done.
Do you need your roof checked or just ready to get a new roof? Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal has helped over 10,000 customers with their roofs over the last 2 decades. Premier South employs over 300 team members in South Louisiana. They're accredited by the Better Business Bureau. They've been named in the top 100 roofers in the nation for a number of years. And Premier South has former insurance adjusters in-house whose job it is to help get all the insurance money you deserve. So go to PremierSouthLA.com for Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal and get your free inspection.
Premier South Roofing.
Welcome back. Monday edition of Jordy Culotta Show. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button before we get out of here. I've been looking forward to catching up with our next guest, the big fella, Glenn West, who is, as we always tell you, without question, the number one overall pick in the media basketball league that does not exist. The first day that it does on the draft, Glenn West will go number one overall. He is on 24/7. He just put out an article looking at LSU's defensive depth chart after spring that we're going to dive into and more. G, good morning. How are you?
Hey, guys. I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good. Let's start with baseball here. I think that this comes at a good time to knock this loss out of the way and get bumped out of the top spot. What's your reaction to LSU falling on the Plains this weekend?
Yeah, I think first reaction is just don't panic. I mean, you know, we've seen it so many times where teams just have a rough weekend, and certainly you look at, you know, the weekend, for example, that Dylan Cruz had, who's going to be the number one pick in a few months, and you're not going to see Dylan Cruz have one hit in a weekend, I don't think, for the rest of the season. And I think it was just kind of indicative of the entire series. Nothing really felt right. I mean, after Paul Skeen's amazing outing on Friday, just really – defensively, he had all the errors that cropped up on him as well. There was just some really, poor attempts in terms of just the runners on base and not being able to bring those guys home. But it's an anomaly for me, and so I think the fact that you lose that series, you drop a spot here in the top 25. I know D1 Baseball's already put out their top 25 this week, and LSU's number 2. I think it's a good a good thing. It's a good thing to really just kind of learn from this weekend, really kind of go back to your pitching and go back to the groundwork there, and try to figure out some avenues to where they can have some more success. Because if there's one thing that's really concerning coming out of this weekend, it's probably the free passes. I mean, that's been a theme all season long. The walks, the hit by pitches, the errors on defense. Don't beat yourself. I mean, you can let teams beat you if they out-hit you, if they just have a good day at the office. But I think more times than not, when LSU's lost this year, it's been because they've beaten themselves and not necessarily because the other team's done a really nice job. So I think that's probably the big takeaway that I have, and really just don't overreact to one series loss. I think it's all going to be good for this team in the long run.
What about the pitching situation? I think coming out of this weekend, that is the top bullet point of what everybody's looking at, how they can resolve that issue. Do you see an answer on the horizon? Do you see something a button that they may push that could solve some issues?
Yeah, I mean, I think one button they could absolutely push is throw Thatcher Hurd out there back into the starting lineup. I mean, the last 3 outings, he's looked really, really good. Giving you some consistency on the mound. He looks a lot like the player that we saw, or that LSU was hoping to see coming into this season, and certainly drew a start last week in the midweek game. I think really got his feet wet and had a nice outing there. You had a couple of weekend outings where you didn't go very deep, but still showed the electric stuff that he has. I think that's an option for LSU. I think they noticed the improvements that have been made here, and certainly some of the struggles that have occurred with some of the guys like Christian Little or Ty Floyd, who have had trouble with walking batters and just not being able to go very deep into these outings. I think it's time to mix it up, and I think if we had Leah Van, talked with Johnson after the game, and that was one of the quotes that he gave. It might be time to mix it up a little bit with the pitching staff and get back to the framework of this thing and see if they can't figure out some other options on the mound. But I like Thatcher Hurd. I like Gavin Guidry. I thought he was really good in his appearance this weekend, and also with his start in the midweek game as well. Just a couple options there, but I do think it's time to maybe reconsider what you got going behind Paul Skeens.
Glenn West, 247 Sports on Twitter, @Glenn West. All right, Glenn, LSU football coming out of spring, a lot of storylines really to kind of look at. Obviously, the top one is the quarterback. What did you take away from that position over the 15 practices?
Yeah, I mean, if you're LSU, you're in a really good spot. You got to be feeling good about your quarterback situation, and certainly Garrett Nussmeier's decision, I think, heightens that a little bit. I had a chance. I got to know Nuss a little bit during his recruiting process, and so I reached out to him, and he gave me a nice text back on just the decision and how he believes in what Coach Kelly's building here in Baton Rouge. He believes in the process, and he believes that he's going to be the guy eventually here at LSU. And so whether that's you'll see him this year or if it's next year when he takes over the reins from Jaden Daniels, I think his decision to come back and not enter his name in the transfer portal really tells you just how good of a situation I think LSU's building here. He certainly, I think, solidifies the quarterback room for the next 2, maybe 3 seasons by not entering his name in the portal. And he's going to have a lot of weapons to work with next year. And so I think that's very exciting, and it's really cool to see. But certainly with what you got from Jaden this spring, I think you saw him in that spring game take a couple shots. I mean, look, we're not going to take away any sweeping declarations from the spring game. But I do think that the focus this offseason certainly has been for him to get more aggressive with his passing, with his routes, and certainly to continue building that chemistry with other guys on the roster that aren't named Malik Neighbors and Mason Taylor. I think the fact that Taylor was gone for most of the spring allowed him to really spread the ball out and get a lot of other guys involved and start building that camaraderie and that chemistry with a lot of other players. So I do think that you're in a really good spot this year with Jaden. I think Nuss will play a little bit. Depends on what they really want from that position in terms of how much he'll play. But certainly I think the biggest takeaway you can have is that this quarterback situation is in a really, really good spot for the next couple of years.
I thought two of the best position groups on the team coming out of spring was offensive line and wide receiver. What was some of the strong points you saw during the scrimmages?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you brought up the offensive line because that was a group that's not necessarily banged up, but they just don't have a lot of their pieces here yet. And, they were working with really thin margins in terms of their depth. They only had, I think, 7 scholarship players available to them for most of this spring. And I thought they played really well. I thought they did a really nice job. You had 4 of the 5 starters that were able to really move around the offensive line. We talked with Emory Jones this spring, and he talked about how he's playing some right guard, he's playing some left tackle, left guard. They were just moving those guys around a lot this spring, and I think it was really good for them. And I absolutely had the same takeaway. I thought those guys held up extremely well in the spring game. They allowed a couple pressures and a couple sacks. That's going to happen, but really like what they had moving forward with that group. And then you mentioned it, the receiver group. I mean, Kelly was really, really emphatic about the season or the spring that Kyron Lacey's had. I think you can certainly pencil him in right now as kind of that third starter, maybe in that slot role. Certainly have a lot of other guys that are not here or that were injured, and Aaron Anderson and Shelton Sampson and Kai Prian, who aren't even on campus yet. But you look what you have with Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas coming back. Chris Hilton now is healthy, and he had a full spring here where he was able to run through things and improve and develop. You certainly got to like where the receiver room is at as well.
Jump over to the defensive side, and as we say, Glenn has a nice piece up right now over at 247 Sports looking at the depth chart on the defensive side. Let's start with the defensive line. What would you make of the replacement? It was named after spring for Jamar Cain and Jimmy Lindsey. What do you expect him to bring to LSU?
Yeah, I think first and foremost development. I think LSU knows what they have on their defensive line. They spent a lot of time and resources into rebuilding that depth of that group behind Mason Smith, behind Mekhi Wingo, and Savion Jones. Those are who I kind of have penciled in as the starters right now on that defensive line heading into the offseason. So, I think Jimmy Lindsey, I think the kind of initial reaction from a lot of people were kind of like, who's this? Because we hadn't really heard a whole lot about him, I don't think, throughout the process. But just diving into him a little bit more, I think it's a really solid hire. Obviously, Brian Kelly did his homework here and really talked with a lot of people. I think the fact that he has a lot of recruiting experience here in the South is going to be really beneficial. But it's going to be definitely a next step up for him. I mean, this is the big leagues of college football, and you've got to be able to recruit with the best of the schools in the country. LSU's done a really nice job of adding 5 and high 4-star talent over the last several years on the defensive line because it knows how important that group is to having success in the SEC, and Lindsey's going to have to be a big part of that going forward.
The way they used Harold Perkins in the spring was raising questions early. Then Matt House answered them during a press conference and really kind of settled everybody in. What was your takeaway of Perkins going into his sophomore season?
Look, I think it's important that you move him around and that you get him that experience at inside linebacker because teams are going to be bullet pointing him first and foremost on every scouting report for next season. And so if you just have him coming from one angle, coming from one side of the defensive line, it makes him a lot easier to prepare for. And so I think the fact that they had him this spring working with inside linebackers, working with Omar Spates and with Matt House on that position, I think is only going to help him in the way that they use him. I mean, he was primarily being used at inside linebacker on first and second downs. I think that's kind of the strategy here where you can use him and kind of screw up the middle of the field here and use him in a variety of ways and then kind of move him to the kind of the outside linebacker spot, jack linebacker spot on third downs. That's kind of I think the goal here that they wanted to try to test and try out. Certainly things can change during the fall, but you've got to be able to mix it around with Harold Perkins this season because teams are going to be preparing for him and certainly having a lot of their game plan revolved around him and being able to slow him down. So you've got to be able to mix it up with him.
Defensive backfield was under the microscope for a lot of practice, wondering who the new faces were, who were going to be the guys that stepped up. I thought one of the returning names had a really good spring game, and after digging deeper, he really had a good spring workout, and that's LaTerrence Welch. What else did you see from that unit that leads you to be positive about them coming into the fall?
Yeah, I think Matt House kind of described it best, is that it's a work in progress, especially at cornerback right now. There was a lot of missed tackles, a lot of inconsistency, I would say, in the secondary, and that's to be expected with so many new guys kind of coming in and expected to take on such heavy roles. They did a lot of mixing and matching throughout the spring, but I'm right there with you. I thought LaTerrence Welch had a really nice spring. I put him in my starting lineup in terms of the projections heading into the offseason, along with Zy Alexander. And then Deuce Chestnut is a guy who I think just fits that slot corner role extremely well. A guy they brought in from Syracuse who missed a lot of the spring, but I think they're going to make it an emphasis to try to get him involved, certainly in the fall. And so you kind of take that for what it is. Zy Alexander's a nice long corner. I think he's going to be able to help you in a lot of ways on the outside, and gives you, I think the biggest thing here for LSU was that they brought in a lot of young talent that they feel like they have good potential, but they just don't have a lot of the experience yet in terms of the cornerback room. So that's going to be an area where I think you're going to see competition all the way into the final week of fall. And I still expect them to probably rotate that position group heavily this season. I think it's going to be a situation where you kind of play the guy who fits well with what you're doing and who fits well against a certain team. I don't think you're going to see a consistent starting lineup, for example, like you would at several other positions, and it's just something that those guys are going to have to prepare for. And then you've got the safety group here with Major Burns and Greg Brooks. Those guys are going to be the leaders of that secondary. I think you've got a lot of potential there with Javian Toviano, who moved over to safety some this spring. Certainly with what you got coming in, Kylan Jackson from Zachary. Can Matthew Langlois stay healthy and give you some contributions as a rotational piece? I think safety is a group where LSU could certainly look to add another piece or two. But right now we're still waiting to hear some of those names come out.
LSU had 13 early enrollees in spring and go through it. Michael Daugherty ended up stepping away from it, so they had 12 that finished it. There were some names that really stood out, including, you mentioned Taviano. I think he'll play a lot as a freshman. Some of these wide receivers, Whit Weeks maybe at linebacker. Was there anybody that jumped out to you from a first-year player that's here early that may contribute early?
Yeah, I mean, we got to see mostly individual drills this spring, and you guys know the drill with that. You can't really take a whole lot out of those situations, but I'll take it from a physical, just looking the part kind of nature thing. I think certainly Toviano's the guy that you're going to see a lot of in the secondary this fall, and another guy that I think probably you'll see a little bit of is Kyle Parker, the receiver out of Texas. I think he had a really nice, strong senior season. He really kind of rose up a lot of recruiting boards towards the end of his high school career, and I think he's carried it on here into LSU. I think he's done a lot of developmental work on his body, and certainly learning the offense is going to be important for him. But they had him working on special teams. They've had him, I think he was a second team receiver here in the early part of spring. So I would say probably those two are guys that really have stood out. I think Whit Weeks is a guy who can certainly provide you a lot of interesting options in terms of rotations and special teams at linebacker for sure. And then Deshaun Womack is a guy that I think we're all itching to see. He's going to be at that jack linebacker spot competing with Ovi Ugofu, and certainly a lot of guys that are also on that defensive line for reps as well. So those are just a couple names that probably stood out. We haven't had a chance to see Womack yet, but interested to see kind of what his development looks like in the fall, because he certainly looks the part of a guy who can be an early impact player.
A couple of months out, how concerning is place kicker? How concerning is the field goal aspect?
Yeah, I would say probably very concerning if you're asking anybody in the program, really. I mean, I think Ramos, you could tell last year they were very careful with what they allowed Ramos to do and what not to do, especially after that first game. But certainly you've got to get more out of that group, out of Nathan Dibert. Can somebody really take the reins this summer and win that position outright. I don't know if there's a clear answer right now. I think that LSU is going to be in a position where you get inside the 30, the 25. It's going to be a real conversation on whether or not you go for fourth down and short, or whether you kick the field goal, or whatever it is that you want to do. I think that there's got to be a lot of development there, and certainly it's something the coaching staff understands. But we'll see. I mean, I think that's probably, if you're leaving spring, a big concern if you're LSU.
Do you expect him to replace the general manager position? Do you expect him to fill that role?
I don't know. I haven't really heard anything about that. It would make sense maybe to promote somebody from within that he feels comfortable with, or extending duties to a certain coach or something. But certainly Brian Polian, we haven't talked about that yet. He was really crucial to the recruiting effort here in terms of just getting everybody organized and knowing what they wanted to do, how they wanted to attack their plans in the spring and summer. And so that was a loss. I mean, I know he got shifted out of the on-field role as special teams coordinator, but he was very valuable to Brian Kelly and what he wanted to do in terms of recruiting. And so I don't know what that means for the coaching staff going forward, if they're going to hire somebody with an off-field role solely devoted to that. It would make a lot of sense if they did, but haven't heard anything about that yet. I think it's probably still a little too early to know what exactly they plan on doing with that GM role.
We have seen some special recruiting classes come through football, basketball, and baseball. Really, all three sports have brought in some powerhouse classes. Have you ever seen one so talented that LSU women's basketball is bringing in for this 2023 cycle?
No. I mean, to bring in the top two transfer portal recruits and Haley Van Lith and Aneesah Morrow, that's going to be a team that's favored in every game next year. If I were a betting man, and I'm certainly not, I would be putting all my money on LSU next year in every game that they play. That is a absolutely lethal lineup that you can expect to have next year, because not only do you have the top two transfers coming in, you've got the number one high school player in America coming in, you've got the number one high school player from last year on the roster, and you've got Angel Reese, who was just an All-American beast, who was in the National Player of the Year conversation down the stretch. I mean, that top five right there is just absolutely devastating for, I think, a lot of the teams LSU is going to face this year, including South Carolina. I've never seen anything quite like the roster that they put together in terms of just the hype and the personality that I think is there in that locker room. I think is going to be really fun and entertaining to watch next year. And it's going to have the PMAC buzzing, and I'm looking forward to it.
Glenn, as always, great to catch up with you, man. We'll talk again soon. Have a great week.
All right, Jordy. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, there he is, Glenn West, checking in from 247 Sports. Make sure and hit him on Twitter at Glenn West to keep up with all of what he has coming up. Remember, we're daily brought to you by Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal. Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal here for you on this Monday morning. If you're waking up and you're getting into the office and you see some leaks from the weekend's rain, or you're getting back from vacation or away from the weekend and see that your house has some damage on the roof, get Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal up there today. Online, PremierSouthLA.com. PremierSouthLA.com. Whether you're in Baton Rouge, Lafayette, North Shore, New Orleans, they're ready for you. Over in Daphne and Fairhope, Alabama, they're coming soon. But online, PremierSouthLA.com. It's Louisiana's premier roofing experts in quality and in service. Find out for yourself today whether it's residential or commercial roofing, if you need metal roofing, if you need help putting up your gutters and awnings. All of that available for you today at PremierSouthLA.com. We remind you every single day, if your roof is 8 years or older, you qualify for a free inspection. Odds are you qualify for a brand new roof. Let the pros over at Premier South LA jump up on the roof today, tell you what you got going on. If you qualify for a brand new roof, they will work directly with the insurance company to make sure you're getting every dollar that you deserve to get that brand new roof professionally done and put on today. Only one name in service and in quality when it comes to roofing in Louisiana, and that is Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal. Online, PremierSouthLA.com, PremierSouthLA.com. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, North Shore, or New Orleans. It doesn't matter where you are. Get in touch with them this morning. PremierSouthLA.com. All right, we'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show rolling on here on this Monday.
Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
Get Gordon and get it done. Get Gordon and get it done. Corrects done. Personal injury done. Workers' comp done. Truck wrecks done. Get Gordon and get it done. Get Gordon and get it done.
In 1975, Mike Anderson left the gridiron for the grill, opening a po' boy shop near LSU. If you're from Louisiana, odds are you've tasted a dish, experienced the tradition of Mike Anderson's seafood. 48 years later, the tradition of Mike Anderson's lives on with the next generation.
I'm very thankful. He's never allowed okay to be okay. It's a driving force for me to just want to keep it as good as he made it.
Mike Anderson's Seafood and WAFB, celebrating the community. All right, welcome back to a Monday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. Appreciate Big G, Glenn West, for stopping in here on this Monday, giving us an update on a little LSU football and baseball. Make sure you're checking out his work at Go247 to keep up with what he is putting out there and online or on Twitter at Glenn West. We are confirmed we're going to be over at LSU this Thursday. We are talking to both Brian Kelly and Kim Mulkey on Thursday. We'll be going to LSU football operations and talking to Coach Kelly, and then we'll be going across the street to the Queen's office. Looking forward to seeing the $2 million digs for Coach Mulkey. We got to take a leak in the gold.
That's your mission.
In the gold toilet.
You're gonna be like,
I'm definitely getting some gold toilet footage.
Who's the? It's like Jim Irsay. Whenever he went to go recruit he tried to get some quarterback to come to the team, and he used the bathroom for 45 minutes before he talked to him, and they were like,
"What?
What is going on with this?" Because he's an older man. But they're like, he also is a former drug addict,
right?
And
so it's former.
Yeah, I think that's what they were wondering. And so it's like Jordy gonna be gone for 50 minutes. He's like, I'm just staring at this toilet. Looking for the bathroom, don't mind me.
Is it like a bidet or something? Or is it just
I
like
don't know,
a gold
Steve.
toilet?
I don't know.
Probably.
Full report for you on
probably a
Thursday.
gold
Is it
bidet.
confirmed? Gold?
It's confirmed.
Oh, okay.
That it is gold.
So wait.
Or the visit is confirmed.
Kim Mulkey has a gold toilet in
A
her
gold-plated
office.
toilet. Yes.
Can I use it?
Have you seen
I
it?
don't know if you can.
I don't know. Is it at her house or at her office?
No, it's in the office.
You've seen it?
I'm not seeing it.
Have you seen a picture of it?
I've seen a picture of it.
Okay, so it does exist.
No, it exists.
That's awesome.
I mean, I talked to the contractor.
What if she lets us all use it?
At the same
I
time.
know. What if there is like a built-in bidet in it?
It's definitely got that.
We'll
I gotta try the
definitely be in there
bidet
for
thing.
45
I've never
minutes.
tried a bidet. so.
Never.
You gotta do it.
Stewie.
It's like a water
Life-changing.
fountain.
You don't need anything.
Life-changing.
But the bidet.
It says it's just like water fountain for your butt though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is kind of weird.
My buddy
Very
got hit in the
clean.
chest with one because he didn't know what it was.
Well, I can tell you try it, Stewie.
I washed
Hey,
my
look,
hair when I was
you
little
try it.
because I didn't
Oh.
know. My mom found me
Was
doing
that like
it
the
in a hotel.
standalone one?
Yeah, in a
Yeah.
hotel bathroom.
So it just sprayed on you?
Yeah,
Oh,
she
yeah.
washed her hair in
Washed
it.
my
That's
hair.
the hotel ones are different. Those
Yeah.
like come from the ground up, and you have to like straddle them. I could see how old were you?
I mean, probably like 7, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably that. I could
You
see
were
how a
scared I was gonna
7-year-old.
be like 15,
Yeah.
15 and a half.
22.
I'm from Mississippi. What the hell's this? Mom, shower's upside down.
It was last Christmas, actually.
Yeah. This morning? What are you talking about?
Showers upside down.
Water's coming from the damn ground.
Full.
More NIL news for LSU athletes. Tigers are loading up, man. I mean, big deal done here for Angel Reese as she agreed to terms with Sports Illustrated as well. Last week it was Livy Dunn that made news that had inked a deal with SI. Today it is Angel Reese in the swimsuit edition. So LSU going to be well represented with the SI edition coming out here pretty soon. Angel making money.
Oh my
Go.
God.
Lots and lots of money.
A ton of money.
Might not be the only gold toilet in the office coming up. Angel Reese coming for the bag.
Yeah, no doubt. Nobody promoting it more than Kim Mulkey because Mulkey is receiving all of the beneficiaries of Angel Reese cleaning up in NIL. Not only does that, attract other talent, but with Angel Reese's presence on social media and really her personality, LSU has taken full advantage of, allowing Angel to be Angel and let her collect off of being
Yeah, she's not stopping her from any opportunity that's being presented. She's
creating,
promoting it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
She's making and creating and inviting opportunity for that because she knows all that's going to do is going to bring more attention and more notoriety to the program that right now is the hottest brand in women's sports. I mean, no matter the sport.
They have another school that has 2 athletes in the Sports Illustrated, swimsuit edition.
I mean,
there's probably not even 2 other college-aged kids in it.
A lot like Skeens and Cruz sit atop of the Major League Baseball mock drafts here a couple of months out. Angel Reese and Livy Dunn are just
jockeying.
Fighting back and forth on the top 2 positions of NIL athletes that are in college sports. I mean, that alone is now become the leadoff for the recruiting pitch.
Is Libby still number 1, like female athlete?
Yes.
But I mean, Angel will surpass that.
Well,
soon,
I think
if she hasn't already.
Livy is kind of on her way out,
Right.
So
That's
I
what
mean,
I mean.
she'll be So, I mean, there's probably only a couple of weeks left for Livy to claim that because of where she is in school. And, you know, I mean, who knows what Angel's going to be making next year at this time. What if she comes back for her senior year?
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
I mean.
That would NIL would probably be the main reason for that.
Yeah.
I mean,
it would be the only reason.
She'll break every NIL record.
She's on the record saying that why would I go to the WNBA whenever I can make more money in college? So she's obviously has that mindset already. It's just a matter of how much. I mean, she's going to get more exposure here than anywhere else.
Why wouldn't you stay here?
She probably will stay as a senior.
Yeah, she should. Why not?
Because
just rake in a few more million, like play your senior
dominate.
year out, be in college another year. I mean, come on.
She's going into her junior year, right?
I mean, yeah, she's going into her junior year. You ask all these superstars, like, if you could have one choice, what would you do next? And, like, all of them, like, I say all of them, but, like, the ones that I've heard, like, Shaq would say, I would love to go back to school one more year. You know, I've been broke for 19 years. What's one more?
Yeah.
You know, to go back because you live the rest of your life worried about, you know, paying taxes and traveling and all this stuff that, you know, these wealthy, elite people think about and worry about. But a lot of people would love to have that part of their life back, just one more year. And now what NIL has created is kind of that built-in qualifier, like, it's all good, man. Here's a couple of $100,000 for those that can get it, right? I mean, I know that everyone can't really achieve that, but we're talking about the alphas, the elites, the best at what they do, which, I mean, a decade from now, I imagine that Angel Reese is going to be a WNBA household name with a couple of rings, and, you know, you'll know, you know, her legacy will have been written for her basketball life. And the fact that she can say, I spent 4 years in college and was able to win at least one national championship. And not only that, was able to really collect off of that, made that choice very easy. Hopefully. I think that would be a good testament for anybody that comes next that's stuck in this position. I imagine that Michaela Williams will probably be in this position in a couple of years where, you know, she will dominate the game so much that it'll be a question of, does she stay? Does she need to stay? I mean, Angel Reese is a walking double-double. You know how hard that is to find in basketball? I mean, like, that is so difficult to know that, hey, I know when we get off the bus, I know when we show up to the arena that I'm getting double-double from her.
Yeah.
I'm getting 10 and 10 at least.
At least. I'm getting 10 points, 10 boards from her. That is such a securing feeling of just like, at least I got that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At least I know my superstar is going to show up and play. And it's every night. I mean, there are people and coaches and general managers that would crawl over glass in the WNBA for that type of production. And Angel potentially could say for 2 more years, like, no thanks. You know what I mean? Like,
I know, it's wild.
I mean, I don't really need it right now. So it's a cool place to see where LSU women's hoops is, man.
It's a marriage of her personality and her skills on the basketball floor, right?
Absolutely.
Like, you don't really get to this level without having both.
Right.
Like, because there's going to be athletes that get NIL deals through LSU, but they won't have the branding part of it, so it won't be. I guess you won't hear as much about it, but because of the way Angel Reese like does her business, and like wants to be out in the public, that's what makes it the rising star it's been. Because she would have gotten paid regardless, right? Like she would have gotten NIL money from whatever, but the way that she's doing, like building her own brand through college and becoming essentially famous overnight, is what takes it to another level.
Yeah, her personality is getting her paid.
Absolutely. Well, and look, she also has to play.
Right.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
of course.
That's one of the things that you like for someone like Angel, that has to happen. There's NIL deals out there for backups. There's NIL deals out there that, you know, for players that you don't see on the field or on the court. But for what Angel is trying to do, Angel's got to be Angel Reese. And I know that her game needs to improve offensively. She's got a lot of room for improvement offensively, but the fact that she can give you that production night in, night out, and I see some of you saying she might not be the best player on next year's team. I don't expect her to be the best player on next year's team. I really don't. I think if Angel Reese is the best player on next year's team, you're kind of in – that's not who you want to be.
It's not a national
championship
team.
I think you really – I think Michaela Williams is going to be the best player on this team. if you haven't seen Michaela Williams play yet, then, it might catch you a little off guard. But she's going to be an incoming freshman from North Louisiana that, some services have her number 1, some services have her number 2. Nobody has her number 3. She's in the top 2 of every discussion in America of who's the best high school lady high school basketball player in the country. And Michaela Williams, if she ain't it, she's 2. And if you haven't seen her play, she's electric. She's phenomenal. People compare her to Simone, and she's not Simone. It's different. It's not, really Simone's not her. Simone was a mid-range, sharp-shooting killer that if you, would give her the ball, she was going to score. Michaela Williams can break you down in so many more ways, right? I mean, like, she can go by you. She can shoot three-pointers. She can pull up in mid-range. She can get to the rim. She's so pesky
Polished.
of a defensive player. I mean, like, she clean picks some of the best ball handlers in the country in some of these all-star games. I'm talking about just, like, robs them in the open floor. And, just has kind of like a little trot-in layup because it's such an easy – she is phenomenal, man.
She'll start.
Day one. Like, it's not even up for debate. I mean, she's – and look, I haven't seen a lot of Haley Van Lith. I've seen, highlights and seen her play. I know she's going to have the ball in her hand a tremendous amount come next season, and she will be doing a lot of the distributing. So, potentially she could be your best player. Morrow's coming in here averaging 25 and 12. I don't expect her to average 25 and 12, but you're talking about adding another double-double to the lineup and somebody who can really has offensive skill, right? Angel can just kill you with, offensive rebounds and putbacks. Morrow she'll bring you out and knock down a 12-footer in your face all night. So.
And Flau'jae Johnson, freshman of the year.
Yeah, right. And I think she's going to improve so much from year 1 to 2.
That's what I think you'll see with Michaela. I think she'll be a little bit better, more polished than Flau'jae was coming in, but you'll see that jump from freshman to sophomore to junior where, like, she's been the best player on the team the last 2 years. Like, that's what I expect because that, like I said, I think she'll play, but it won't be the best player in the country's here right now. It'll be like a gradual she'll probably average 10 to 15, then it'll be like 25 whenever Michaela Williams is all said and done at LSU.
Oh, yeah. No,
she's ready now.
You could hang Michaela Williams' jersey
in
the rafters 5-10 years from now. Really, she could be she could leave that type of impact. I saw her play Zachary one night, and within the first 3 minutes of the game, you were like,
that's Michaela Williams.
This is unbelievable. This is incredible how much better she is than everybody. She is – you have to see her. I can't really explain her game. She can do everything. Was it the Jordan Classic that she hit the 7 threes? Was that the game, Stewie? She played in the Jordan All-Star Classic this year, and people were like, some people were like, the scouting report on her going in was that she couldn't shoot.
That's not true.
And she hit 7 threes.
She was 7 of 8.
Oh, wow.
At one point, she was 6 of 6.
That's amazing.
She's generational.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? She's once in a decade. She's the first since Simone to come through this state that's that good.
Yeah.
Simone came out in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
So every 20 years you get somebody like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she wasn't even considering LSU until Kim Mulkey got here.
No.
That's the effect.
Mm-hmm. It is the Kim effect.
Moon Urson. That's always the one that I go back to. She was in the middle of New Orleans, and she didn't even get recruited by LSU when she was coming out. She never even thought about going to LSU. She ended up at Baylor. The first day that Mulkey takes the job, she leaves Baylor and commits to LSU. She ends up following and going on a graduation path that keeps her off of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking about 3 years earlier, the best player in the state, not even thinking about LSU. Like, she wasn't even contemplating going to LSU. She ends up going to Baylor, wins a national championship, and says, I'm coming home and I'm going to do it with Kim Mulkey. And, I think Mulkey's first stop after she was named head coach was Michaela Williams. I think they put her on a plane, and she flew up and said, an hour and a half ago, I was introducing myself to the state. Now I'm
coming to
sitting
see you.
right here, making sure that you know how much of a priority you are.
Was it Kevin Falk that happened
Yes.
to with Jerry Stovall?
Jerry
It's like
DiNardo.
Jerry DiNardo, excuse me, he's like driving his car next to
He
him.
had the introductory press conference at on the 5th floor, and as soon as he got out of that, him and I believe Bonnet drove him to Karen Crow to see Kevin Falk, and Steve Schneider followed him the whole way and you know, it was like filming like it was news, you know, of DiNardo getting out and went and greeted Kevin Falk, and Falk's got the tight fade, the earrings on it, Karen Crow.
I gotta go
such a
get Booby
stud,
Miles.
dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a good time to be part of LSU's athletics department. That's
And
what's
Glenn
up.
wrote that baseball article that you referenced earlier. LSU would be the first team to ever have back-to-back players go 1 and 2 in the draft. It's happened, I think, second and third twice, but LSU would be the first to ever have players go
1 and 2.
1 and
Really?
2.
Oh, wow.
And it
So-
looks almost as if it's inevitable at this point.
Yes.
Cool.
And that's when you get into, like, you talk about the pressures of this season for Jay and the baseball team. If you don't win it all and then you have people go, if you have
Right.
Dylan Cruz go 1-1,
That's
then
right.
Skeens go 1-2,
right.
it's like, oh, they won the national championship, didn't they? It's like, no,
That's right.
they didn't. That's what makes it feel like a disappointment if they don't, even though I know
It was like,
how incredibly hard it is to win a national championship. But if you see that across the ticker, you're like, oh, it feels like we really missed an opportunity there.
I mean, you know, Bregman Nola.
Yeah.
I mean, you go 4 and 2 in 3 years of the draft. Nola goes 3 or
3.
4? 3. 2 years later, Bregman goes 2.
And then
And you look back at that team and you're like, well, they won a natty, right? You're like, they got bounced in the first round.
first round 2 and Q. That's how quickly it can happen.
Yeah, I mean,
This team feels a little bit more complete. And then they had that team. They had another team that went to the final.
North Carolina.
Yes.
Actually, that season, North Carolina has one of the records for the longest consecutive number 1 team streak. Like LSU was creeping up on it, crept up on it last week with 11 straight weeks. I want to say that North Carolina team in 2013 was number 1 in the country for 13 or 14 straight weeks of that season. And is that who LSU got beat by?
No, didn't they?
Did they lose to UCLA?
Yes.
Yes. Bregman, he booted that ball.
And they had Bauer. They had 2 electric arms that went like, I think they went like 2 and 3 in the
they
draft
did.
or something like that LSU ran into. And
I mean, it was 1-0.
Small balled them to death.
It was 1-0.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
And that's what I'm saying. You have all these teams, and then LSU played Florida in the national championship, and Walker gets hurt, and you lost your third starter, and then they lose the national championship there. So Paul got to the final game twice in his career at LSU, and he was here for how long?
12.
Right? So it shows you, like, you can knock on the door all you want. You can have all the talent. Everything has to line up for you to be able to get a national championship. But like I said, when you see draft day and you see them go 1-1, 1-2, that's going to be the next thing that college baseball fans think. Like, well, they didn't win a national championship. Like, okay, fine. Let's let them have their day.
I still got them.
me too.
I still think they're.
Yeah.
To win the natty this
I
year.
love this happening to them right now. I really do. I cannot stress enough that this felt like this was inevitable. This felt like this was coming. This felt like it almost needed to happen. Not from a internal standpoint. I don't know that
Yeah, they wanna
enough
win
to
every
speak
game they
about
play,
it.
yeah.
They want to win everything every time. But nationally, you could get the feel that the hangover
Wearing
was starting
down.
to set in. The hangover of the LSU brand. People were starting to try and find a way out.
Yeah.
You know, like what's. You know, like I was catching so many tweets. Without Skeen on Friday night, LSU is just a regular team. You know, like okay, think that. You know what I mean? Like if that's the
And
reputation,
they hang 15 on you.
right? In a blink, right? Like that's the part where you look at Wake Forest play and you're like, okay, they're good, but you got to ratchet this stuff up every single day if you're LSU to bring it. Wake Forest, this is going to be like you're going to be like, oh shit, that's LSU in that other dugout.
Right. It comes
You know,
with the
like,
mystique.
You're like, whoa, that got here quick. You know, like, I mean, I'm used to seeing Clemson and, you know, I mean.
Miami.
Whoever. Florida Atlantic. You know, I mean. Now it's for real. And LSU's been been doing this since February.
Right.
Right? Where, I mean, they've been staring at this since, you know, midweek in March. You know, I
Oh,
mean,
once SEC play started, it's been on. And so it does probably feels a little bit like I don't want to say a gift, but it finally you can take a breath.
Yeah, pop the balloon, man.
Yeah, because you don't want that going into.
Get rid of all that stuff, man.
Experiment before your wedding night. You know, you don't want to go in there fresh.
Right.
You got to know what you're
this
getting
is
into.
how it works?
Yeah. Oh God. So
nobody told me this.
Yeah, get it over with. So, wipe the slate clean. Start over. All good. Long night.
All right, make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button. I'm in Woodville this morning. Looking forward to a little windshield time. So make sure you have a good, safe day. Is it supposed to rain again today?
Who knows? I think every day this week they're showing rain.
Bro, that rain this week on Saturday.
Saturday.
That was wicked,
That was scary.
man.
Yeah, actually it is supposed to start raining around 11.
Oh, sweet. Thanks,
Mhm.
Katie. Appreciate
Yeah. We'll see. You never know.
it. Is that from Caparado?
That's from my Apple Weather app. So you might want to give Steve a little call to confirm that.
Sounds like he's on the phone with the diocese.
Oh God.
That's enough time to call it. Don't think about it.
Just call it.
Don't do it.
Just call it.
Don't do it.
Cool.
We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Who we had tomorrow? I confirmed Brody Miller.
Ah!
Tomorrow. So I'm at the Jazz Fest. Him and his lady listening to Santana.
And you come on the show?
Yeah.
Well, not tomorrow, surely. No, next week.
All right. Don't mean to
Put me
talk
on
a
the
little
book
shop
for
there, Brody.
Tuesday.
How was Santana? Was he good?
Awesome.
Really?
I didn't see a lot of it. Probably saw like 15 minutes of it. But he did play one of the hits.
Did he play that song?
Is that his song?
I don't know that song. I thought you were going to go with like
I think-
Black Magic Woman.
No, I didn't hear that one.
Something.
I didn't hear that one. I think it was. Yeah, that was it. That was the one I heard. That was the one.
I don't know if you're listening to Santana, though.
But then we spent the afternoon listening to Leon Bridges. Really,
Yeah, that's
we had good. We had better seats.
A little bit of this.
grass area.
Is that not him?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, I just heard the electric guitar, bro.
Yeah,
Get
that's
off
all
my
you.
back.
That's all you
I
need.
mean, like, I don't know.
The only song I would have been able to
I
name
was trying to explain to Jordan like who we were watching. He was just like on his phone.
He's like, "Do you know who we're watching?"
Sweet,
like,
bro.
don't ask any
Yeah.
questions.
You want another lemonade?
You know who that is? It's Rob Thomas, Matchbox 20.
He sang a song with Santana.
I know.
All right, have a good day. We'll be with you tomorrow morning. Monday's edition of Mic'd Up coming at you this afternoon. Make sure and tune into the boys. You'll want to hear them break down the weekend. Remember, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Mic'd Up with Mikey Matuk and Jared Mitchell, a couple of former first-rounders and standouts in the program with better relationships and as good information as you'll find on LSU baseball. Don't test the theory. It's the best show out there. Just listen.
6 to 8.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Make sure and like and follow and check them out on social media. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning. Have a good day.